You know, every time a new Harley-Davidson motor is introduced, the purists and traditionalists don't like it. They wax nostalgic about the previous one and how the new one has less soul and personality, which is probably true, and how Harleys will never be the same, also true. It happened when the EVO replaced the shovel head, it happened when the twin cam replaced the EVO, and it happened again when the Milwaukee 8 replaced the twin cam. And while most new motors are a little less lumpy and a bit smoother than the previous ones, thus robbing newer models of a little character, each step is small and the difference is not great. But one engine has bucked the trend, and that is the EVO motor. While the 1340cc Big Twin EVO was discontinued in the big bikes in 1999, it lived on in the Sportster line in 1200 and 883cc versions, with the last one, an 883 Iron in Gunship Grey, rolling off the line on November 18, 2022. Rest in peace EVO, killed by Euro 5 emission standards. I had a 2019 Roadster 1200 and quite liked the engine in that thing. It was fuel injected and rubber mounted and was actually pretty peppy, especially with the Stage 1 I had installed on it. Check out my playlist on that bike in the top right corner. But then the unthinkable happened. The mighty EVO, the engine that saved Harley-Davidson when it was introduced in 1984, was replaced in the Sportsters by the Revolution Max in 1250 and 975cc. A liquid-cooled and quite powerful mill which had way more performance than the EVO but way less personality. And so we got to find out what Harley riders value more, performance and high tech, or sound and character. And the answer appears to be sound and character. So here's a controversial statement. Harley-Davidson needs to bring back the EVO Sportsters. For the details on how they can do this, stay tuned. And as always, if you're enjoying the content, please consider helping this channel out by subscribing, liking the video, and sharing it with friends. No doubt, the EVO, which came out in 1984 and 1986 in the Sportsters, saved Harley-Davidson. It was much more reliable than the shovelhead which preceded it, and although some traditionalists criticized it, as Harley traditionalists always do with new tech, the engine was quickly adopted by the faithful and powered Harley through its greatest growth phase in the 1990s. In addition to being relatively reliable, the EVO was also attractive and highly modifiable. It retained the presence and the vibe of previous big Harleys, especially in the solid mounted models. Were these bikes technologically impressive, fast, or great handling? No. The old 1500 Goldwing could run circles around any Harley bagger in the 90s, but there were still way more Ultraglides sold than Goldwings because they were fast enough and they looked and sounded good. The sport bagger craze is a more recent phenomenon, although even back then you could soup up your EVO as much as you dared before you risked blowing it up. So today you have the very good Milwaukee 8, which in its 117 cubic inch guise smokes the modern Goldwing in both horsepower and torque. How things have changed. But like I've stated before on this channel, for Harley it seems almost too civilized, too smooth, too regular. It never misses a beat and doesn't have that hesitant rumble of the previous motors. But it's still largely air-cooled with functional cooling fins, it's still got push rods, and the cylinders are still angled at 45 degrees. The progress up until this motor has been incremental, and the M8 is not so different from the EVO and the twin cam. But the Revolution Max is. It's still a V-twin, but between liquid cooling, the overhead cams, the 60-degree angle, and the very different styling, you cannot make the case that this motor is a descendant of Harley engines of old. It's a great motor with some interesting innovations which produce plenty of power and cut down on maintenance costs. And it does a great job as an adventure bike or possibly a naked bike power plant. It would also do very well in a sport touring capacity if Harley were ever to release a competitor to a bike like the BMW R1250 RT. But in a cruiser, it's too industrial and quite frankly too metric to sell in large numbers. Cruiser riders care more about the sound, look, and feel of an engine than about all-out performance. If you want performance, you can spend $10,000 US on a Yamaha MT-09 and bury every Harley and most other motorcycles in a drag race or a run down the twisties. If Harley made a cafe racer or some sort of dirt tracker replica, the Revolution Max would be a great motor for those bikes, quick revving and aggressive. And yes, I have ridden a Pan America before, just without a camera, and like the character of the 1250 Rev Max, but not for a cruiser. Cruisers don't need to be fast. My 1200 Roadster had plenty of power. In 2008, these bikes got fuel injection, which made them more powerful than the 90s 1340cc EVOs, which powered much heavier motorcycles. Yes, even the current 999cc Indian Scout 60s are faster than a 1200 Sportster, but they don't have the character of a Harley EVO, and to most cruiser riders, all-out speed does not matter a whole lot. And that's why Harley should bring them back. There's literally no R&D, and the tooling for building them is still hopefully there, so you could restart the manufacturing line and offer them for 10 to 12k, the same prices as the new Indian Scout 60s. Check out my video on those bikes in the top right corner. Harley could concentrate on bringing back the most popular models like the 48, Iron 1200, and maybe the Iron 883 if they're trying to catch those A2 licensed riders, although an 883 still needs a restrictor kit to meet A2 requirements. But the EVO can't make Euro 5 emission standards, you say. That's why it was discontinued in Europe first and then everywhere else, because it wasn't worth building if you can't sell it in the large European market. Well, the thing is, you can make it Euro 5 legal. Witness the Chinese-made SWM Stormbreaker, a Sportster 48 clone. Not only is that bike on sale in Italy, it goes for a hefty €10,000 for a clone. Harley can easily match or beat that price and offer folks the real thing again. Somehow, SWM managed to get this 1202cc EVO past Euro emissions, probably at the price of a few horsepower by choking the thing up. Harley probably doesn't want to offer a lower powered version of a product which was already underpowered for an engine of that size, but most Harley and Sportster riders put at least a stage 1 on their bikes. I did. And a freer flowing exhaust and air filter along with a reprogrammed ECU will get the power back and then some, and have the bike running better than stock. So it doesn't really matter if the stock version is low on power. Most riders will know what they're getting and how to fix it. Funny how the Sporty was always the whipping boy of the HD lineup, and now that it's gone, riders are pining for it back. Suddenly, tons of people are nostalgic for those bikes, and for good reason. The EVO, with its classic look and total lack of any radiators, both sounded and vibrated as a proper Harley motor should, and did have more character than the Milwaukee 8, even if it had nowhere near as much power. I mean, my old Sportster was plenty fast. How much more power do you need in a bike meant for cruising? So, even though I've always said that Harley-Davidson needs to innovate, I'm still nostalgic for the old EVO. Keep the traditional bikes like the Sportsters, but also offer other high-performance models with a modern engine. It's what Triumph has been doing, and it has worked out well for them. Will Harley-Davidson bring the EVO Sportsters back? Doubtful, but it would be cool if they did. The Rev Max bikes could be renamed V-Rods or something like that. There's another bike which wasn't liked at the time, but which people are nostalgic for. So hey, maybe a letter writing campaign. Or if that fails, there's always the used market. I don't think we'll be running out of old Sporties anytime soon. I think we've got about a century's supply in our local classifieds. Would you get a new 48 over one of the new Indian Scouts if they were the same price? I think I'd go for the 48 and do it up like this bike. Who cares if it's slower than the Indian? It looks boss. Look at that clean engine. But what do you think? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Enjoy your winter riding or non-riding. Thanks for watching, and may the spokes be with you.